today we are in discussion with the Honorable Raphael Trotman, Minister of Natural Resources. Minister, thank you very much for taking some time to talk with us. First of all, can we talk a little bit about the prospects of the extractive industries?
Well, extractive industry is, of course, a very important sector for Guyana. Last year, 2015, the gold production, in fact, was our highest foreign exchange earner. So that makes it very, very important. We do have, of course, other commodities other than gold. There is stone, there's sand, there's bauxite. We should link as well forests with the extractive industries. So these, not only do they produce valuable foreign exchange, but they are important in the sense that they are part of our environment, part of the ecology, part of the patrimony of Guyana, and therefore have to be respected and sustainably managed and exploited.
In terms of growth and expansion, what can we look forward to?
Well, commodity prices worldwide are a bit low, and so this year, 2016, we are going to focus our attention. Whilst the price is low, we're not closing our doors, but we're going to ensure that we spend more time and attention on health and safety issues. We unfortunately lost too many miners to mining in 2015 and in 2014, and so a lot of effort and emphasis is going to be placed on safety in mining. We want to make sure that we are managing our forests better. We've received kudos for doing so. We just want to maintain those very good standards. We are in process of a governance agreement, negotiating a governance agreement with the EU that would ensure that our logs and our furniture and so forth have a good ready market in the European Union. So we're focusing on that, and especially, of course, I should mention oil and gas. We hope to do more exploration this year. More companies, international companies, are looking to enter the market, enter into the sector of exploring for oil, now that a discovery was made in 2015. So government emphasis is on finding credible companies. We have some fly-by-night players. That's not to say that they're not important, but our emphasis right now is on finding credible, large companies with a proven track record in other parts of the world. And by proven, I mean, one, how they handle the local economy, respect for the laws, ensuring that Guyanese will be integrated into the industry and are trained, and of course that they will respect the agreements that they enter into in ensuring that we get our just rewards from what is brought up from the surface.
Minister, if we're talking about mining, let us talk a little bit about mining and the concerns of our indigenous peoples, mining in their what's called their lands and their claims. How are we looking to address that? That has been some of.
Well, there will always be what is called a tension between mining and indigenous rights and indigenous peoples. This is something that this government will inherit, and governments in the future will have the problem. So how it is managed is in having better coordination and relationships with the Ministry of Indigenous Peoples Affairs, with the National Two Shows Council, and ensuring that companies and miners, big and small, respect the rights of the indigenous peoples. And I should say as well that we're finding a higher incidence of Amerindian villages and councils themselves getting into mining. And they too have to learn that if they're going to get into mining, that they too have to respect the laws, the environment, and respect it, and to ensure that at the end of the day, both the state and the people of Guyana benefit, but of course that we preserve the heritage of the Amerindian people and respect it, and we can hopefully find a good happy balance between mining and protecting indigenous rights.
How are we looking at addressing some of the issues, for example, pollution?
Pollution, of course, is a problem because mining is disruptive of the environment, and from time to time rivers and waterways are polluted, and invariably these are the very places where hinterland communities get their drinking water from, or water for cooking. So it's used for washing, but the more important part is the washing. The EPA is very much involved in ensuring that this is investigated and if there are any complaints and that miners respect the laws. The GGMC also has an environmental division to ensure strict compliance. But that's not to say it does not happen, but whenever we get reports, we try to address it or address those reports immediately.
About the issue of compliance, some time ago we talked about empowering environmental officers as well as mining officers. How are we with that?
Well, that is ongoing. This year, the EPA is going to have a complete restructuring. Thankfully, the Minister of Finance has agreed that we can do so this year. And the EPA will now take on more of an enforcement role. In the past, the officers did not have the power, but we'd like to have them trained to become enforcers. GGMC as well, we're going to be introducing into the curriculum of the mining school the whole issue of compliance and monitoring. And the ministry now has a new minister in the person of the Honourable Minister Simona Brooms, and her specific responsibility is looking at enforcement and compliance. So a new division is going to be created in the ministry, and Ms. Brooms, the minister, will be responsible for the creation and functioning of that division.
Minister, on the issue of Amerindian communities and the paying of royalties, there were some concerns that this is being done and to a greater extent this is not being done. What are we looking at? Are we going to see more compliance by miners and companies?
Well, under the Amerindian Act, if a miner or a mining company wishes to mine within an Amerindian community, that company or that person has to go and negotiate with the village council. And what we've been finding is that invariably the royalties paid by miners are higher than normal. And so the Amerindian communities, it would appear, have very good advisors, legal and others, and I know the Ministry of Indigenous Peoples Affairs has been advising them in terms of how to negotiate, what to negotiate for, and how to protect themselves. So it's an ongoing process, but we're starting to see better returns.
Would this area of enforcement fall on the mining officers or the environmental protection officers at any point?
Well, last week I should say that we inducted the boards of the different agencies coming under natural resources, and we charged them to have a one-team approach. So what we advise them is that at any time a forest officer, if he or she comes across a mining violation, has to deal with it and report it, and vice versa. If a mining officer sees a violation being done in a forest, that person can't say, well, I'm mining and it's not forestry. We're all one team with different parts. Additionally, the compliance division within the ministry will also have rangers. These rangers will be sent out to go to do monitoring to ensure that there is compliance and respect for the laws.
If we're to look at concessions, will there be additional concessions granted?
Well, we're not. Government is not looking to open new lands for mining or for forest. We're looking to allocate and reallocate lands. So in some instances, some people may have too much. We're going to see if we can work with them to surrender some. In other cases, I can tell you in mining, for example, because there have been low prices of gold, many miners have not paid up their fees, and they've in a sense relinquished those lands. So right now we're going to work to see how we can have those lands redistributed, particularly to small miners who felt that they were not getting a fair share. So it's not going to be new mining areas open, it's just a matter of better management of what is already allocated.
On the issue of, we talked about the last time too, the national survey, and there were plans or there are plans to have this. How are we coming with that?
Well, that is ongoing. Once the budget is passed, we will have some financing, and that process will commence in March, and hopefully will be done before the end of the year.
If we are to look at building capacity, we did talk about this too the last time in terms of agencies such as GGMC and the Guyana Forestry Commission to deal with all of the issues under the sector. How are we looking at, if we have any additional plans than what we would have already made public to deal with?
Well, capacity, I think the most important part for us was getting the new boards in place, and we did that just over a week ago. We're very happy with the selection of people we have across the board. we've chosen experts, technocrats. We have Dr. David Singh heading up, for example, the Protected Areas Commission. We have Ms. Jocelyn Dow, who is very keen on the forest. She is the chairperson of the Guyana Forestry Commission. Mr. Stanley Ming, a very outstanding businessman, a former miner himself, a person who knows everything about heavy machinery and so forth. He will be the head of the Guyana Geology and Mines Commission. So no one can accuse us of choosing political persons who don't have experience or know-how, but we've gone, in a sense, into the private sector, into civil society, and we've asked them to be part of the governance structures and to help us to manage. And we're very pleased with the response.
How are we doing in the forestry sector?
Forestry is, again, we've had some challenges last year. I think we were slowly bringing things into a better place of management and control. Some restrictions were placed on export of raw logs because we'd like to see our logs cut but processed in Guyana so that Guyanese get jobs and we get greater value for the logs. And the companies have started to respond, and we're hoping this year to see more value added in this sector. In this week of February, a team has gone up to London to make presentations on the use of Green Heart, and we're again excited about the prospects of that visit because we believe that we'll receive more orders for Green Heart, and Guyana's recognition as a place that could provide good forest products will be raised.
With regard legislation, Minister, what can we look forward to in terms of streamlining or regulating the sector?
Well, the two main bits of legislation coming this year would be legislation on wildlife management. We're going to be forming a wildlife management authority because, of course, we do find wildlife within our forests. And also we are going to be reviewing the EPA Act, as I said before, to ensure that the EPA has teeth and muscle to be able to do its work. As you know, because we're going to be an oil-producing country, we can't wait until we start producing. In the event of an oil spill, for example, the EPA has to be able to respond as a first responder. So training is going to be done in the area of being able to address issues of oil spills or preventative measures. So all of these will require some legislative changes. The Geology and Mines Commission regulations, there have been some draft regulations awaiting approval for many years. Hopefully we will move to get those settled, agreed on, and passed. And the other one is in the area of the environment. We successfully were able to pilot the regulations for styrofoam, ban on styrofoam or the restriction on imports. This year we want to come up with a policy looking at plastics. We can't ban plastic because it is a feature of life, everyone bottles and so forth, but certainly we're looking to see how we can better manage the disposal, the waste management, maybe recycling and disposal of plastics. So that's our next target.
Minister, with regard to National Parks Commission, that's one of the areas that come on. What's going on in terms of some of the plans? We did talk to them some time ago, and they said they have a few initiatives to come on stream.
Well, I can tell you that National Parks Commission, yes, includes, of course, what are known as the three parks: Botanical Gardens, the National Park in Georgetown, and the Jovera Park just over the river. But there's also the Protected Area System, which includes Kaichor. Kaichor, of course, our most famous tourist site, but of course it became last year stained by some unfortunate incidents of suicide. So this year efforts will be put in place to ensure better scrutiny of passengers going up there. We are going to be putting up some protective rails to act as a deterrent from persons who have other thoughts in mind. We've already introduced a set of protocols, for example, no alcohol, ensuring that there are two guides on the ground at any one time, one in the front and one at the rear of every group. And so as we prepare for the 50th anniversary, we know that thousands of people are coming home, Guyanese and others. And so we want to make sure that Kaichor is ready for them in its full glory. And closer to home, Georgetown, the Botanical Gardens is going to be overhauled. And we'd like to take it back, and this is the President's dream, to have it go back to its original intent as a place of botany, where people could come and see the different plant species of Guyana that we're famous for. And I think it is, right now, it became more of a recreational place, and and it was not enough was being done on the botanical side of things. So we're going to change that a bit. We hope to do some work around the area of the Place of Heroes, the Seven Ponds area. That is going to be rehabilitated. The zoo, and the process will start immediately after the budget is announced. We've also approached and are approaching the corporate world for them to partner with us, and again the response has been good.
Minister, you talked about budget, and finally, if I may steal a little bit from your budget presentation.
I only will be expanding on what the minister has said. I thought that he did an excellent job in putting a frame around the economic platform that Guyana stands on. And there are many criticisms, but if one looks at what is happening in Venezuela, the economy has collapsed in Venezuela. In Trinidad and Tobago, the economy, there's been a devaluation. VAT has been restored on many, many items, and in Suriname, there's been a devaluation of their currency recently. So Guyana, sitting in the middle of these three, still recorded a growth of 3% last year, and I think that is highly commendable. People expect miracles, and there's some people, even if you give them the miracle, they'll still doubt it. And I believe that we have shown good stewardship. Of course, there's always room for improvement, and this budget, I believe, is a good, a second budget after the first. I think the first was the foundation, and this, of course, has taken us now better or further down the road in realizing our dream of a brighter and better Guyana.
Thank you very much, Minister.
Okay, thank you.